Okay, hope everybody can see the screen, right? Now I'm on my browser. So let me start by going to the LMS today, because there's nothing much to say without going into the LMS. So the address for the Yapitia premises LMS is lmsk.wyb.ac.lk. As I know, the LMS in the Makandura premises, it is running under LMS .wyb.ac.lk. So you better check, right? When you log into the system, so when you go to the system, right, very firstly we have secured the system, so therefore you don't have to worry, the connection is secured. So this is the login, actually the front page of our LMS. So basically we are running the Moodle software. Moodle is known as one of a very famous learning management systems available online, and we are using the free version of that. Even though we are used free version, the facilities provided by the Moodle is pretty much. Now the Moodle has a commercial version as well, which comes with a very so it is version, most up-to-date version of the Moodle. So when you very firstly come to this place, so on top right corner you will find the login screen. So over there, now you will find the login page, and in here there are several differences, right? So depending on the ICT center's configuration, even Kolyapitia, we have a separate system. Makandura, they are using a separate system. So anyway, the login system might be a little bit different. So let me explain how Kolyapitia LMS is going to work. Now, as you all know, we are much pressurizing you to use your institutional email because it is quite easy to control all the logins, right? Now, you are well aware with that one. So therefore, all the academic staff members, the permanent academic staff members in Waiba University is allowed to access use your email address here in the username and password section. We are authorizing you through the Google, because we are using Google services to run our emails. So therefore you need to click the Google button here. So even when I am logging in, I have to use this Google link. So people don't have, so let me log in with my institutional email. So Google will authorize and let the LMS know I am an authorized user. So that is one way of joining the LMS, right? Let me log out and show it again. So that is the way the permanent academic staff members who have institutional email with them can log in. So therefore now this is open for all the staff members in the university, even staff from Makandura premises, they can use this method to log in. But the only thing is, if they want to access a particular course, that accessing permission or the enrollment should be given. That's the only difference. Now that goes for all the users of the LMS. Now everybody can access the LMS who has wyb.ac.lk emails, but they have to ask to be assigned to a particular course, otherwise they can't access the course materials. So that's the way how it is work. And if you want to join with, so let's say if you don't have an institutional email, so all those people have been given a LMS account just to log into our LMS, because your institutional email can be used to log into several systems, not only the LMS but also to all the other systems as well. Therefore you need to use that. But people who don't have the institutional emails, for an example, a visiting lecturer or maybe a demonstrator, or maybe a tutor. Also the students, they are given a particular usernames and password just to log in into the LMS. So all the students and people don't have the institutional emails. They have to ask for a particular account from their city center, and they can use this username and password space to give their credentials and log into the system. So let me log in as an administrator of the system. Now only difference in the administrator account, I have a special link called site administration, that's all, right? All the other before moving on, let me explain what are the roles available in the LMS. Now when you log into the system, you will become just a user of the LMS, that's all. So we have two different set of user roles. One is going for administration purposes, other one is going for teaching and learning purposes. So under the administration purposes, let me explain it like this. Let me take an faculty. Okay, let me take faculty for an example. And if I go to row, find a manager and a course creator, there are three types of three major user types administrator. So there can be only one top administrator, and there are managers and there are creators. So administrators have ICTs and data. Managers and creators can be assigned to a category, right? Now if we talk in technical terms, the faculty of technology is a category, right? So therefore what we do is we assign managers to separate categories, right? So let me before moving on, let me explain that as well. So as I designated for city center, for the categories there are managers, course and course creators. So those three are the other roles. Teaching and learning roles are lecturer, demonstrator, tutor and student. So those are assigned to a particular course. So so don't worry about this category thing, because this is a technical term coming up with the software, right? So now under this category, what we have done, now this is the faculty of technology. Now each faculty has a dean. So therefore we kept a policy while we are designing this. So dean will be the manager for entire faculty. So that means manager has the highest authority over that category. That means he can do anything. He or she can do anything. That means adding users, adding courses, deleting users or courses, assigning them, right? Don't worry while I'm saying deleting users. So that means he or she cannot delete users from the system, but from the category they can. So they can remove, enroll or remove. So and assigning other people as managers, course creators or lecturers under the assigned category. So that is the role of a manager. So therefore now if you go to faculty of technology, under that we have assigned two managers on the request of them, the dean and the assistant registrar. So they can create courses, they can do changes if it is necessary, right? So let's go back, and now under faculty of technology, now these things, now don't worry about how these things are divided inside the faculty, because we consulted the deans and so we got the idea how the faculty needs the things were divided, right? So in each faculty the system might be different, the way it displays might be a little bit different, but anyway if we're talking technically, these are these categories, right? These course categories are known as the top level categories. Under them we have subcategories, right? So under faculty of technology we have two subcategories called BET honors in these 3 degrees in one category and nanoscience technology in another category, right? So if we go to the construction technology, so we have 4 years now. This degree program represents the 3 departments. Therefore when we go to roles, all 3 department heads were assigned as managers. So they have the total control over all the items under that category. So that is how it works. Now this goes for the external courses as well. So if the external courses are incorporated in the LMS, the course director will be given the privilege of assigning as a manager. So they can do whatever the changes, they can change the way how this appears. Any change can be done by them. So apart from them, we have 4 LMS coordinators from each faculty, because we asked the deans to nominate somebody, so the ICT center can train them. So therefore, there are 4 faculty coordinators. So if you have any problem, any doubt, any thing to be changed, anything to be modified, you can take the support from them. So that is a way that we have used to reduce the kind of workload coming to the ICT center directly, because regularly we are going to train the coordinators. Now for the moment they have been trained up to a certain extent that they can manage the present requirement. So we are going to train them a little bit advanced in the future, so they can train that back to the faculty, so they can incorporate them again those facilities in the faculty level as well. So that is how the categorization and other managing thing works. So this is again a subcategory running on this BET honors, this degree name category, right? So if we go inside that, we have again divided it into another subcategory called semester 1 and 2. So again under the semester there are courses. So that is how the LMS is divided, right? Categorized or put into the folders for the management purposes. Now this is a course, right? So from this course there are a lot of things that we can do, and yes, we are expected to do, right? So now up to this point, creating a course, up to that point, now ICT center has been facilitated up to this point. Now we have came to course level and we have created the courses, and we asked particular lecturers and department heads and deans to change them according to their requirement. So now I think according to our knowledge, now it is running very smoothly. Let me show you a few statistics and hand over to Mr. Akila to show you the operations, right? Now, totally, the LMS in Kuliapetia, we are facilitating 4,300 user accounts, right? So, including the lecturers. So, therefore, our usage is little bit high. Now, the most important thing is the accessing to these LMSs with this COVID-19 situation. As I mentioned yesterday, at the beginning it was free. Now little they are moving towards charging again, right? So therefore please be advised on that as well. So it's the same situation for Zoom as well. So then again, the Learn is monitoring the usage of LMSs. The data is provided by the administrators of each LMS. Now let me show you that as well, right? Let me share this information. So Learn is providing a graphical analysis, right? So according to the Learn, almost 155 LMSs are running in all the state universities. So this is a summary, right? So if we move on, right? Yes. So these are the top ranked LMSs running, right? The top 20. Yes. So we are here, right? So we are playing a major role as well. So if you need to monitor the university level, right? So each and every day the usage is monitored and displayed, right? So this is how we monitor our activity. So therefore we are very proud as YMB University. So both ICT centers were able to keep the LMSs running very high level. So therefore we are in a good position among the universities, right? So the thing is, now you need to get educated how to use this and how to get the maximum out of this LMS. So therefore from the beginning, starting from a very basic level, let me invite or let me hand over the session to Mr. Akila to demonstrate you, right? While we are working on, we will demonstrate you how to do the things inside the LMS, right? So Akila, over to you. So one second, Akila. Before we moving on, is there any questions that need to be answered from myself? Okay, sir.
Dr. Upanen.
Yes, sir.
Sorry for disturbing now. Just now I happen to join with my mobile phone. Can you please summarize for me, say 1 minute, taking what you have done before?
Okay, sir. So what I explained is, now we have two LMSs for two premises. So Makhandura, they are having a separate LMS. Kuliapiti is having a separate LMS. And
Okay.
now for today's work, we are using the Kuliapiti LMS for the demonstration work. So Makhandura people, not to worry, the system is same. Might be the theme is different. The appearance might be a little bit different, but they can do the same thing, right? No, not to worry. So now the address is lmsk.wib.ac.lk. And the connection we are using is totally secure. So when you are logging in, if you are a permanent academic staff member, you have to use the Google link here, not the username and password. Okay. So those who don't have the LMS with you, let me share that. Let me share it with you. People who don't have the WIB email accounts, the accounts will be created for them inside the LMS. So therefore, they have to provide the username and password to log into the system. Okay, and that's all, sir, for now as the major points. Now let me hand over the session to Akila then to show how to work inside the LMS.
Okay,
Akila,
thank you.
Welcome, sir. Akila, over to you. You may share the screen.
I'll share the screen. Okay, good morning everyone. I think you all can hear me. So here this is the dashboard of the LMS. So this is the home page actually. Before that, we're going to introduce you the Google Moodle app. So through that you can connect your mobile phone with Google, with our LMS. So this is how you can do it in your Android mobile phones or again in Apple phones as well. So you have to search in App Store or in Play Store, Google Play Store for Moodle. Here the word Moodle. So again, identify the icon of that. So this with the M and the hat, that's the icon. So you have to download and install this application into your mobile phone. So when you download that one and you can run it. So when you download and run it, you will see this kind of interface first. So here you have to give the site address. So make sure that you give the site address as https://lms.wib.ac.lk. So this is what you can see in the browser URL box also. That's the site that we're going to log in using the browser as well. So what you have to do here, type the address, the site address, and connect. So when you connect, you can see this login interface, and in the login interface you have to, if you have a Google account, I mean WIB account, email account, then you can click Google and it will automatically authenticate you with your WIB email account. So if you don't have a WIB email account, then you can give the username and password, then you can log in. So similarly, this app will show you all the courses and available assignments and everything through the application, through the mobile app. Okay, so I'll move into the web browser or using the computer how you can access LMS. So this is our home page dashboard. In that dashboard, you can see these are called as blocks. Recently accessed courses, course overview, course categories, again timeline. So those are blocks. So if you want, you can adjust them. So how you can do this is you can see a button at the right top corner, customize this page. When you click that, you can see more icons appear in these blocks. So again, if you want to remove one block, for example, if I want to remove recently accessed courses, I can just click here and I can delete recently accessed courses block, or I can hide recent. So I'm going to delete this one. So click here and it's asking for confirmation. Then you can see in my dashboard, in my in home interface, there is no recently accessed courses. Again, if I want to get that one back, I can click on add a block, and here you can see recently accessed courses. So when I click this one, it will add here the recently accessed courses here. Again, if I want to move that one, this is the move icon, you can see. So I can click there and move it and drag it to the main window. So those are the recently accessed courses now. So like that, you can customize your dashboard. If you want unwanted blocks, you can remove them. Don't worry, you can again get back to them. So you can test by yourself. So what you have to do is just click here, customize this page, and using these icons, you can remove them, delete the block. And again, if you want to move that one, you can click on the move icon and move that block. Again, if you want to get another new block here, you can click on this add block and add it. If you have any questions regarding these ones, anytime you can interrupt me and you can ask the question. Okay, right? Assume that you got that. We're going to move into the next one. So you can click on stop customizing this page, then it will get back to normal. Okay. So all the students also have the same interface and they have this timeline and everything. So I'm going to go into a sample course. Sorry, before that, in ICT Center, we have created a sample course for this training session. And in your ones, you have your semester and year, semester, and those categories. So when you go into that category, like here, you can create a new course. So what
Akila, can I ask one question before we moving on from that mobile app? Has mobile app some restrictions on
yes,
lecture roles?
There are restrictions because we can't do all the modifications and these settings in this one. That is most probably prepared for viewing the courses, not for actually adding them.
Sure.
So it is most suitable for students because they can just use the app and view the course.
Understood. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Then add a new course. So here there are important things. First, you must give the course full name here. For example, if you have a course called fundamental of okay, here we have to give the course full name, and again the short name, that is the course code. So I'm going to give this course and course code, even this one. Right. Again, these are the course start date and course end date. If you want to end this course automatically, you have to enable this one. If not, you can disable this. So if you don't disable this one, this will automatically hide or remove from the category. This course will be automatically removed. I mean hide. Then this description is very important. So for the course, you can give a description. Here there are some additional buttons and additional customization. So you can click on this arrowhead, and you can see the other available buttons or the commands. So you can use tables if you want. You can just click here and add a table, and in the table you can say time, and again you can say students to we can ask the student to complete the work on this date. I think let's say like that, and again listen. So like that, you can give some introductions or a description for a course. Again, course format, these things can be changed after creating the course also. So if there are two options, main two options. One is a topic option and the weekly format and the topic format. So normally it is, you can, if you choose topic format, it will give topic 1, topic 2 like that. Again, if you select weekly format, it will give the week 1, week 2, week 3 like that, all the same. Okay, then you can create the course. Right. So these are the two courses available now. And again, you can see the description that I have given here. So it will show at the main interface or the main window of the program of the course. So here I'm going to go into the previously created one, sample subject. Okay. Here this is the subject interface. So you can see I have selected the topic format. That is why this is given as topic 1, topic 2, topic 3 like that. So you can edit them. So what you have to do, you can click here. Sorry, before everything you have to enable editing on this course. So again, this is important that this icon, that this is called a wheel. So this wheel icon is always for settings. These are universal icons. So anywhere that you see this kind of icon, that means you have the other options that you can do. You can edit settings. So you can click that, turn editing on. So again, this pencil icon is also a unique one, universal icon. So here, anywhere that you see this pencil icon, that means you can change the name, change the text. That's the meaning of this pencil icon. So here there is a pencil icon. So if I click here, you can see I can change the topic. Again, it is important that when you change this one, you have to press enter key. Otherwise, it will not be saved. When you edit, you have to press enter key to apply that one. Again, if you have any questions, please ask. Right. Then under the topics, you can add activities. So here, I'm going to add an activity. So these are the activities available. We'll explain these things in future courses. So here we're going to explain assignments and file upload today. Again, forums. So for example, assignment. So if you want to give any assignment to the student, this is the way you can do it. So you can click it and add. Okay. So you have to give the assignment name. And description. So this description is the assignment question. Again, there are two ways that you can give the assignment question. One is you can type it here. And again, if you want, you can add a file. So when uploading files, we recommend that you better upload PDF files, because normally most of the students, they use their mobile phones for accessing LMS. So PDF is the easy way that they can access these files. So if you upload a Word file, so most of them find difficulties by with opening that file. So again, we suggest you that please upload PDF files in this one. So again, you can give the assignment as a PDF file. And again, this availability. So you can enable, you can disable if you don't want to access these ones, right? So it is allow submission from. So until this date and time comes, the student can't view the assignment. So when after the time comes, only the student can view it. Again, due date. Then after the assignment will be unavailable for students. Again, remind for grading. Here, the submission type is again very important. So here, online text and file submission, there are two options for students. So online text means, I'll show you both. When you give online text, it will give facility to the student that he can type the answer online, I mean in the browser. Again, file submission means the student can prepare the assignment in a separate file and they can upload it. So depending on your assignment, you can choose what option that you're going to go. Again, if you select this file submission, sorry, in online text, you can add a word limit, 100 words, 1000 words, like that. Again, this upload file, number of upload file is again very important. So normally if you expect a student to upload only one file as the assignment, so you better select one here. If you select 20 or some other ones, students can upload more files, and again they can upload several assignments. So it will make a mess there while you're going to grade them. Right. Then submission file here limit. So normally we have the maximum limit as 125 MB. The next one is submission settings. So here student to click the submit button. That means a student can upload the answer or upload the file, but that will not accept as a submitted assignment. So there is another button at the bottom. Student has to click that. So I'll show you both. In this one, I'm going to set this one to yes. Again, attempts responded. Sorry. So I'm going to save this one. So now I have given the assignment to the student. So I'm going to log out from my one and log in as a student. So when I add the assignment, you can see student timeline. It is shown here. Assignment is due and the time. So by clicking on this one, they can easily access the assignment, or they can go to the course and access the assignment. So I'm going to go to the course. So this is a new assignment that we have created. I'm going to go into that. So this is student view, right? Okay. So students see that the assignment is here, and here the question. Again, they can add the submission. So I'm going to click that one. Okay. So because I have selected both online text and file submission, the both opportunities are given here. So the student can type type the answer here, or they can prepare the answer in a separate file and upload it. So these two options are shown here because I have selected both options in that settings. If you select only one option, that means if you select only online text, the student will see this only window, only this window. Again, if you select only file submission, they will see only this window. Right? Okay. Then here, save changes. And again, because I have set, yeah. Okay, because I have set student must click the submit button. That is because here they can see this button, submit assignment. Submit assignment. So if I select that click submit button set to no, then they will not show this one. So here I'm not going to click this submit assignment button. Okay. So as the student, I'm not going to click that one, and I'm going to log out and log in using my account. Okay, so now when I go to the assignment, now we're going to grade this one. I'm going to view the submissions. Right. Here you can see the status is draft not submitted. That is because student hasn't clicked the submit button. We have asked the student to submit, click the submit button, but they haven't do it. So here I'm again to go into this student's account. Right. So if I click this submit assignment button, again the student can edit the submission and remove it. Right? They have that option. I'm now going to click this submit assignment. Continue. Now you can see the other edit submission and remove submission buttons are gone. That means after submitting the assignment, they can't do any modification. So here the thing is, if we give that opportunity to the student, I mean, if we give the submit button, after submitting the assignment, they can remove it or they can do any modification until they submit that one. So if we going to grade this one, log out. And I'm going to go into my one. Assignment 10. And here you can see it is submitted for grading. That means the assignment is finished and they have submitted that one. Previously it was draft. That means the student haven't submitted that one. Again, he may wish to edit this one. So we should not grade those ones. I mean, in draft status assignments. If you have any question, please ask. I think you got this one. Okay. The other option. Again, I'm going to add another assignment. In this assignment, I'm going to select online text only. And submission settings, I'm not going to set this one to yes. That means require a student to click the submit button. So they don't need to click and submit button. Right? Okay, now I'm going to save the assignment. I'm going to go into the student account. This assignment, add submission. They can type the answer, save changes. Now you can see edit submission is there, remove submission is there, but there is no submit button. Okay. Again, we're going to go into the lecturer's account. You can see submitted for grading. That means we see here that student have completed the assignment and they have completely submitted that and they have finished this one. Then we can grade it. But you saw in the previous one, the student also have the capability of editing that one. So that is the difference between this submit button and providing a submit button and not providing that one. So we recommend that you always give the submit option, I mean the submit button to the student. Otherwise, student may change the assignment after we have graded that one. Okay, any questions? Right, I'm repeating that again. So what you have to do when you're going to prepare the assignment, add name and everything. So here, submission type, and again file submission is very important, the number of submissions, and submission settings. Under that, require a student to click the submit button, you must set this to yes. Now you know the difference between these two. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, please interrupt me and ask.
I wanted to ask that in the option that maximum submission, maximum number of uploaded files, is that referring a one student? That means if you have 20 students.
Yeah, it's for one student. If we set here, if I set here 2 or something, I mean, let's say 5, that means the student can submit 5 files. For example, if you wish to submit the assignment as one question for each file, so then you have to set, let's say in our assignment today we have 3 questions and student must prepare 3 reports as separate files. In that case, you have to select 3 here. So like that, depending on the submission type, I mean your assignment, you can select this.
That means if it is a continuous assessment, like let's say for 8 weeks, that means a group assignment, let's say there are 10 groups, that means one student from each group will have to submit for 10 times. That means we have to give we have to give 10, no?
Yeah. This is for only one student. Only one student can submit this much of files.
Right. If it is a continuous assessment, that means that submission deadlines we have to renew again and again weekly. That means within that we can do it again and again, no?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
If it is a continuous assessment,
Uh-huh.
so when giving the submission deadline,
Yeah.
so weekly we have to update that. So within the same assignment, we can give that, no?
So in the same assignment, you're going to give it in several times.
Yes.
So in that case, you have to edit this one, that the time availability.
That means time weekly we can change it, no?
Yeah, you can.
Anytime we can change it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor.
Akila, there's a small question.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference between this cutoff date and cutoff time or something you have in cutoff date and due date? What is the difference between these two?
Due date means the student will not available for the student after the due date.
Yeah.
That means
Then cutoff
they can submit. Yeah, they can submit only
up to that date.
yeah, up to due date. The cutoff date means if you extend that one. I mean, in some cases we're gonna give grace period for the student. So another 1 day. So that is the cutoff date. So if I say 24th, and we're gonna give a full mark the student for the students who are gonna submit that one before 24th. Again, if we set the cutoff date as 25th, then we can accept the assignments. Again, depending on the assignment and depending on the lecturer, they can decide these are students who have sent or submit these assignments before the due date. Sorry, after the due date.
Right.
So,
Okay, thanks.
Can students see both dates?
Okay. Shall we continue?
Hello.
Yeah.
Can students see both dates?
Sorry, I have to check that one. Let's see. No, they can't. Here, these are the only details that the student can see.
Okay, thank you.
Grading status and due date, time remaining, and last modified, then these things. Okay. So is there anything about assignments? Any more things you may know?
Excuse me, Akila,
Yes, sir.
can we now with that submission date after that one due date they can't submit? So
Yes.
again, if I extend it after that, thinking that they complain sometimes that there are difficulty of their internet line, and so
Yeah.
so then again, can we get that same assignment to resubmit?
Yeah. Yes. In that case, sir, you have to extend the due date. Here you can extend. What you have to do is when you have already prepared assignment, here let's see in this one, edit. You can click on this edit and edit settings, and from there you can go back to the settings of the assignment, and again you can change the due date here. You can update that one.
Again, update. Other thing is, can we go to the student profile, student view that you are going? You also provide that.
Yes, what you can do is you can click here and see switch role to, and you can switch that to student.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
One question: when they are uploading, would they get an acknowledgement email or something? Because one question.
Yes. I'll show you that.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask the student. I'm going to submit one here. In the previous assignment, the student has already submitted the assignment, so but they can see here now. Submission status is submitted for grading. Grading status not graded yet, and due date and these things. Last modified, and the answer. So these are things that a student can see about the submitted assignment. Again, we're going to grade this one. So I'm going to log out and log in again. See here, when we go into the assignment, we can see view all submissions. Right. So here it will list all the submissions that students have sent. So status, we can see whether it is draft submission or a fully submitted for the grading. And again, you can click on grading and view the assignment here and the answer. So you can click and insert the grade. Again, if you have a comment or a feedback, you can type it. And you can save changes. So now we have graded the student. Again, I'm going to go into the student's account. Now you can see status is graded and the feedback is given here. Grade 50 and grade on this date, grade by the person, and again feedback is good. So this is how student can view their result by submitting assignment.
And if it is a group assignment and submitting as groups, so do we have to separately upload the groups and then do something here in the group submission settings? So ask the student to submit as groups, that means.
Yes, you can ask them to submit as group, but in grading, you have to add grade for each and everyone, otherwise they can't see.
That means we don't have to separately do any group submission settings.
Yes,
no?
yes.
Would they have any chance to look into? Would they have any chance to look into the graded assignments? Like, what are the mistakes other than the comments I'm given?
Yes, I'll show you. Right. So if I explain again, here. In the assignment, when you're going to grade it, you can see this window, grade. So this is the comment sheet. So you can, because I haven't submitted any file, I can't see anything here. So you can draw things if you want. Again, you can add rights and other things like here. So then you can save the changes. So this is what you can do while grading. So save the changes. Okay. So when the student go into the assignment again, they can see this file here. So they can download that one. So I think you can show the file, see the file.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the graded file. I mean, the file which we have made corrections.
Okay.
Okay. Again, in grading, you can download the gradebook, download all submissions. So this will download all the submissions. I mean, the attached files. Download all submissions. Again, if you select, if you can select all the submissions, and you can download the submissions again from here. Again, view gradebook, you can click here and it will show you the gradebook, all the assignments and their marks. Right. Okay, so those are the basic things about assignments. So today we're going to cover okay, again, yes, you can give the feedback. I mean, here. Okay. Right, regarding assignments, if you have any more questions, please add that in chat. We'll get into that in the next day, right? So I'm going to stop about assignments from now here. Again, we're going to explain how you can prepare your profile. So here, and when student click on your name, they may direct your profile here. So what you have to do, you can go to profile from this point, go to profile. Edit profile. So here, so this is the place where you can edit the profile. So all the descriptions about yourself you can add here and update profile. Then after adding those things, it will look like this one. So you can give your contacts and other information if you want. And again, when a student go into a course, the same places, they'll see, yeah. Like here, when the course is available here, when they click on the name, this will automatically direct into the profile. So in those cases, it is better that you can update your profile and all the information that related to yourself you can add there. The other thing that we're going to cover today, that is forums. So under add activity and resource, here the next one is forum. So you can add a forum. Forum is a discussion room. So you can add the forum, and you can add a name here, and you can add some description to that. Something. Availability, from which date that should be available, and you can save it. So when you add the discussion, students can view this one. So what they can do here, I'm going to log into the student account. Right, they can see this forum, and here if they have any questions regarding your subject, they can add their questions to this one. So what they can do, they can add a new discussion topic, or they can see your one here. Right. So if they have a question, they can just something, right? Then post the forum. So like this here, the added topic will be shown here. So then other student, they have, if they have answers, what they can do, just click here and they can reply. Again, you also can see the discussion. So if I log into my one, so when I go to the discussion, I can see that students has posted some questions or comments there. So I can click them and view the comment here. And again, the others replies. Again, if you want to reply them, you can reply. Again, you have capability that you can delete those posts if they are not relevant. So in some cases, student may add some irrelevant things in this discussion. So you have capability that you can delete them or hide them. Again, you can reply something and submit. So like that, you can create a discussion forum here using the forum item. Right. So this is what we expect to cover today: assignment, forum, and your user profiles, and customizing the dashboard. So if you have any question regarding these things, you can ask now.
Akila.
Yes, sir.
Now regarding these grades,
yeah,
normally we are not giving them the marks. We are giving them the grade only. So how we can set this here?
Actually,
Because now in your in your case you mentioned now when we do the marking or the grading, we have to individually add that value to the student. So
yes,
is it possible to do it as a batch wise, or we can put the mark or the mark they obtain and only the grade to seen by the student?
Okay, sir. So in quizzes that is available. In assignment, I have checked that one. Shall I check that and explain you tomorrow? Is that okay?
All right. Okay, right.
I'll like put that, sir.
Akila.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Akila, in forums, can all the students see the one student's reply given by the teacher?
Everyone can see that. Everyone who is enrolled in the course, they can see that.
They can see the discussion in between two, the student and the teacher also can be seen by the body.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Again, in assignments, there are a few questions matters arise from the student side. So one is when they're going to submit that one, they're going to rename this PDF or whatever the file they're going to submit. So in that case, they're going to miss this .pdf part or the extension of the file. So then in those cases, the lecturer may not open the file, but student said that they have submitted the assignment. So in those cases, what you can do, you can download the assignment Actually, you have download that one. And then at the end of the name of the file, you can add .pdf. Then you can easily open the file. Again, if any other reason, I mean, if the student has not successfully complete or submit the file, what you can do here, you can select this one and edit. You can remove the submission. You can remove the submission and ask the student to submit that again. And again, keep in mind that when you remove the submission, it will not allow the student to submit it again. So what we have to do, you have to grant extension. Otherwise, the student will not be able to update that one again. Again, a student asks, if the student asks you to, I have made some mistake in the file, I want to edit that one. Then you can go into this one. You can select the student and go to edit and revert the submission to draft. That means then it will give the availability to the student that they can edit or remove the file, remove it and update another one like that. So again, if you want to find the student, what you can do easily, you can press Ctrl F in the keyboard and it will give a find option here. Then you can type student registration number and you can find the student in the gradebook.
Akila, may one small thing about the renaming file with the extension PDF. As I remember, there was in Windows 10 system, there's another small thing to do to change the file extension. If you type .pdf, still it doesn't change the file type. So I think we have to search the right way and do that if Windows 10 is being used.
Okay, I'll show you that. Here, when you're going to rename file, for example, I'm going to erase. I think you can see the window, right? Okay, so I'm going to remove this one.
We can do that. Yeah.
Can you see the window here?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Yes. Right. So here my answer, this is the file. So I have removed the .pdf part here. That what students do mean they're gonna rename this one. Normally, it was like here earlier. So what they're gonna do, they're just going to right click, rename, and they're going to type their number. So then this file will not be accessible. So here, what in view in Windows Explorer view, here you can see file name extension. See, if I remove this one, it will not show me the file extension. So it is better to remove this tick actually. So what you can do, if you receive a file like this one, and whether what that you can't open, so you can click here file name extension in view ribbon, file name extension. Then you have to click and add .pdf. Then the file will be accessible. Again, it is recommended that you better uncheck this one, the file name and extension.
Thank you. It clears it up.
Akila, that I am setting the student submission to the Word document.
Yeah.
Is it necessary to document Word and the PDF both format? That I thought of, I just looked at submission type only Word file. So submission time, how we can define?
So in the assignment, in the assignment settings, under submission types, you can see accepted file types. So you can click choose, and you can tick if you have a specific file. I mean, let's say it's an Excel file. You're gonna accept only Excel files. Then you can click spreadsheets only. Excel assets. Then you have to save the changes. Then the student will be able to submit only the Excel files. If you can accept only PDF files, similarly, you can find PDF files from here. presentations and image document PDF here. So you can click here, expand.
That is it, yes. Document.
Doc. So all they come under one category. So document files. So you can check document files and save it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Right. Any more questions, please? Okay, then shall we wind up the session? Right, so tomorrow we're gonna discuss about quizzes, question banks, and how you can import the question banks in the previous LMS into this new one. So we're gonna discuss those things in tomorrow. So if you have further questions regarding the assignments and other things, please let me send us an email, or anyhow you can call us and ask anything, right? So we'll address the questions tomorrow that you're gonna post today. Again, Vidhan, I'll answer to your question again tomorrow, sir.
Right, thank you.
Then again, thank you everyone for participating. Let's meet tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending today's workshop. And today's workshop is also a successful one, I guess. And you received quite good information how to use LMS. And also we are going to extend the session to tomorrow. And if you have any question regarding today's session or any other issue related to LMS, please send them to the director's email, or otherwise you can personally send it to the Akila, send it to Akila's email, or otherwise Dr. Upaneth's email. We will take them up tomorrow as Akila promised. Thank you very much for attending, and also finally, I would like to reserve some time to thank again Mr. Dr. Upaneth, the director of ICTC, and Mr. Akila, the lecturer in the ICTC. And also, I would like to invite you for the tomorrow session. Goodbye, and thank you for attending. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.